Hello everyone, Quilting Marine here. Alright, so when last left off, we made our pinwheel. Remember that, right? So hopefully within the time that we made our first pinwheel, you made a few pinwheels. It doesn't matter the size, alright? There's no rules to this. We're going off of what you want to do, okay? We're making a quilt in your speed and in your fashion, your style, your like. So while we were away, I made a few of them, okay? So I made 6 total. Okay, so what we're going to do now, now that we have 6, we're going to need to attach them. All right. So first things first, we're going to line them up. All right, and then we're just going to attach them. We're going to sew them together. So we'll go with this one first. Remember, right sides facing each other, right? And we covered how to nest the seam. Remember the nesting of the seam. Nesting of the seam is what I call just putting 2 seams together, but there's an official name for it, so we'll call it nesting the seam. All right, remember nesting the seam. See that, right? So we're going to nest them together so that when we sew it, that line comes together. Now, this is a little bit larger than I usually use for a pinwheel, so I'm gonna pin mine. Okay, I'm not an expert. I just love to do it. Okay, so I'm just gonna pin it so it stays in place. I'm gonna take it to the machine and we're gonna sew it together. Okay, remember we're gonna use 1/4 inch seam allowance and bring these 2 pieces together. All right, so we're gonna get in here, get underneath our, we're gonna get underneath our presser foot here. 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, we're gonna backstitch. Remember backstitching, right? All right, no worries. If you went past that, don't worry about it. It's okay. All right, there are no rules to this, and it's only fabric and it's only thread. Remember what I said about the pin. You want to keep that pin in a distance away from the presser foot so you can go by it, all right? But there's no rules. You can also pin the pin facing this way. And there's times where you may need to do that and you may need to cross over the pin. But we try not to do that because you don't want to strike a pin with your needle, okay? And we'll keep going. All right, from this view, this is what it looks like. All right, nice and slow. It's okay. All right, we're at the end of our fabric, right? So we're gonna go ahead and backstitch a couple of stitches, and then we're gonna pull it, rip it. We're gonna take a look. See the. All right, so we just got that off the sewing machine, and we're just gonna press the seam. All right, we're gonna press the seam. All right, here we go. We're gonna take a look at it, see what it looks like. Here we go. Okay, now we're just gonna iron it down. Okay, so that's gonna be the first attachment of 2. All right, we got another few to go. We're gonna bring it over to our self-healing mat. We got another one to do, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna attach these 3, then I'm gonna attach another 3, and then we're gonna put those 2 strips together, okay? So we're gonna take a look at this here. Remember before, okay, we wanna nest the seam to get that seam matching up. And take a look at it. I open it up. Make sure they're nested. This is something that I do. I'm sure there's 9 million people online who do it different ways. But there's no rules to this, and this is the way that I'm comfortable with, and this is the way that helps me produce quilts that I'm happy with giving or giving to family members, okay? Now that we got our pin in, we're gonna take it to the machine, and we're gonna put our 1/4 inch seam allowance in. Okay, everybody, so we've sewn our 3 and 3. Okay, so you see what's left, right? We have one more stitch to make for our quilt top, all right? Our miniature, semi, baby, whatever, quilt top. Medium, I guess it's medium. So we're gonna put our stitch between these two. But you see what we have to do, right? We have to attach these two together and not be, you know, left or right, even though you could probably do that because you can see as a pattern emerge. See the pattern that emerges? That's the good thing about having pinwheels. I mean, you can go in any kind of direction, or these half blocks. If you do half blocks like these, this diagonal block, somebody please tell me what that is. You can put these in all kind of shapes, all right? But we're just attaching pinwheels together. So this is what we have. So you see that it's not a dilemma, and it's not even a challenge, okay? It's only fabric and it's only thread. We're just gonna attach and attach and attach. We gotta pin it, right? Because we wanna nest our seams together. And that's all we gotta do. So I'm just gonna fold it over. Right side's facing, remember, right side's facing. Or your seam ripper is gonna get a lot of miles, like mine. My seam ripper is ready to retire because of how much I've had to use it in teaching myself how to quilt, okay? We don't want yours to get a lot of miles. Now that they're together, I'm just gonna nest seams and pin it. And as you can see, I use my floor. I don't have a huge studio to work with, okay? But if, Juki, if you want to provide me with one, I'll accept it. Okay, so now we're just gonna do what we did with the 3. Okay, we're gonna nest our seams and pin. First seam, I'm gonna nest it. Make sure they're aligned. And then I'm gonna pin. How far are we pinning away? Yep, you're right. Far enough for that foot to get by. Press a foot to cruise on by. Okay? Now, before you ask, you could put as many pins as you want. You could put a little pin highway going across if you want. But remember, you gotta get the pins out when you get it done. But it's up to you. If you want to be that detailed, I'd say go for it. Nothing better than being as detailed as you want or as possible with building a quilt for someone that you love. Okay? Gonna pin. Okay, so we put the 2 strips together. Now we're just gonna press our seam here. And those of you who notice and are subscribers to Gift Basket Appeal, you see what Trace left here, right? She left her pinkism here, but we're not gonna talk about that, okay? But I got my sister-in-law building pinwheels, and she had the nerve to leave them here on my ironing board. What? No, we're not gonna do that. Okay, so we got our seam press. Here we go. All right, here we go. It's together. We put our 2 strips together. We pressed our seam. All right, remember we pinned. All right, and she's ready. Now we got a quilt top. Okay, so what's next? We're gonna be layering, okay? We're gonna need to find out what type of batting we wanna use. All right, and the batting is what we're gonna use. It's the meat for the sandwich. Guys, you know what I'm talking about when I say meat for the sandwich. It's going in between our quilt top, and we're gonna have a quilt bottom, okay? So next video we'll talk about batting, because batting can be pretty intense and sometimes intimidating, but not with me. With me, we're gonna take baby steps, and we're just gonna do what we need to do to get the quilt done, okay? Thanks for picking my video. I appreciate my subscribers. And remember, it's only fabric and it's only thread.